Today we're going to talk about a little bit of a sensitive topic, okay? And it's about age and which people should start using social media on. And we know the age is becoming younger and younger in which children start to be on these platforms and they may be exposed to things that parents don't want them to be exposed to. But before we go into this, just make sure that you go and read Ollie Campy's blog right here on this page as well, because he goes into real deep and in-depth insight into the whole topic, looking at different past works of other people that have been prominent in the area of this study. And before we go, by any means, I'm not saying that I'm an expert on this or I'm literally telling you what to do. It's just something that I think should be spoken about, and I would like to speak to that about this to you, my audience. So, it's an interesting thing actually, because we want people to be connected. We want people to be communicated, and I believe that should start at a young age. I believe that the number one human kind of function or intricacy, right, is to communicate and be with other people. Now, I know you can look at it the flip side and say, but there's nothing quite as insightful as face-to-face, person-to-person human interaction, and I totally agree with that, okay? But also being connected with your friends and communicating with people can also build up skills that young people will need in the future. Now, when we look at apps like social media apps like Instagram, Facebook, I think they are just as much as communication apps as entertainment apps. Obviously, we have more specific messaging apps like WhatsApps and your messengers, which I think, as well as a social media platform, they are there to help people communicate. But when should we start allowing our kids, children in general, to start using it? And for me, as an adult, if you're a parent, I'm not a parent, but if you're a parent, you need to be expecting this as soon as you give your child a smartphone. It's as simple as that. As soon as they're able to have a smartphone, they are then able to then interact and communicate on social media. And at the same time, it gives them access to the whole wide world out there, which who knows what they can be exposed to. So you need to be aware that when that smartphone is first delivered in front of their face, I don't know what age that is. I remember I got my first mobile phone. Smartphones weren't around when I was growing up. So I got my first mobile phone at 14, and my mum was really reluctant to give me one. But then smartphones came. We saw the difference in what we could do with something like this. Now, smartphones just being delivered, and actually growing up in this day and age, they already know what to do with it. So you give them a smartphone and that you are giving them access to the world. Right? Which actually, think about it, is that so much of a bad thing? Okay? Is it really? Yeah, most of them will use it to communicate with their friends, which is brilliant, right? Which is brilliant. But where you draw that line is when you start to see it becoming more of an addiction rather than a productive thing. Okay? So yeah, you can communicate with your mates, but when you're at home and you're with your family and you're still got your head down like this, right, not paying attention, that's probably when it's starting to become more of an addiction rather than a productive thing. Because as I said at the beginning, that face-to-face, human-to-human interaction with your friends and your family is going to be more beneficial in the long term than through a digital screen. And it just is, right? That's how kids become anxious when they grow up later in life. When they spend all their life on their phones, that's what causes that, okay? So it is, but it's about monitoring that correctly, and not just parents. I'm not talking about, I'm not a parent, so I can't actually talk about this. I'm just saying my views, right? I'm just the kids themselves, teenagers. I'm 26 years old. I myself need to be aware of that, So it's all about that monitoring. Now, of course, at the same time, we have to look at what that access means in giving it to a young age. Now, of course, when you look at news is just one example, but people don't like to watch or read the news anymore. That's why there's a dwindle in newspaper sales, right? That's why there's a dwindle in television watch time and news watch time, right? Because we are moving to a stage, in fact, we've moved to a stage, right, where we are communicating and consuming news through, guess what? Oh, social media. And that's where we want, that's where they want, that's where I think we should be telling these kids or children to consume their news from. You know, you go through your Facebook timeline or whatever. Now there's a lot of fake news out there, and it's also about being wary of what is fake news as opposed to what's not fake news. But there are a lot of things that you won't see on traditional news that you can get through social media, things that are eye-opening, that actually children need to be exposed to for later on down in life. I think that's very important, but at the same time having that steady balance of knowing what's fake news as opposed to what's real news. And that's where the adults come in, just being able to steer people in the right direction. I think that's what's important. Okay, so and also there's a lot online that can then be damaging as well. So, you know what I mean, you can watch something. I've seen some horrific stuff online on Facebook. I have on YouTube. I've seen some. In fact, I speak about why YouTube is dangerous in one of my other vlogs. I'll link to it. But there are some things on there, and once a child, a teen, has access to the likes of Facebook, there's nothing stopping them from seeing this kind of content. That, you know, I'm not going to go into details, but there's all sorts of disturbing content online. So this is why it's such a unique and interesting conversation, because at one side you've got such a positive benefit from it, which I think should be consumed from a young age, and kids should have that knowledge from, I don't know, I can't tell you what age. I know that legally you cannot use Facebook until you're 13 years old, but who actually pays attention to that legal model? You know, some people might, you know, I know 10-year-olds are on it, you know what I mean? So it's about where that steady medium lies, okay? Because there's a lot on there which could be damaging to people in later life, what they see. You know, I've seen some stuff. So it's also about finding that steady medium. Maybe there could be a little bit of monitoring involved with adults, but that's the thing. So communication, though, is key. I think we should all be promoting the use of digital communication, because that's the way the world is going. Okay, when you look at 20 years ago, and it was a simple text messaging, to now what it is, you know, it's going to become more and more prolific and prominent, and it will be started to use in businesses. So let's get them using that kind of digital communication early. That's how we can communicate with the world, right? And social media is a form of communication, okay? No matter what it is a form of communication and interacting with people, not just saying hello, hi, how are you, but commenting on something, creating a discussion on something, right? Having real in-depth communication, because you can have in-depth communication through a screen. Okay, as I said, it's not as beneficial as insightful as the face-to-face, but you can have it. If you can't physically have face-to-face communication with someone in China, then that's the next option, right? And that's how diplomacy is solved at this moment in time. So that being said, that's a benefit, but also those drawbacks. So I cannot say what's a real age to start using it on, but it's very important to be careful. And, you know, we've seen Facebook in recent media and the like, you know, when we look at the likes of Cambridge Analytica and the Trump regime and him being elected, and then also Brexit, and we look at the targeting, right, on the internet, not just Facebook, but the internet. I don't think people understand, like, your every move, every single move, right, is looked at. Your every move is looked at, right? You can be on Facebook, you can scroll down and look on your timeline and look at a video, right? And you don't even open a video, but you look at a video for 3 seconds. It's noted. It's noted that you've looked at this video for 3 seconds, right? And it's building a profile of you, a profile that you don't know of yourself, okay? Right? And that's where the targeted messaging comes in. You like to think, I'm not going to be a victim to targeted messaging, but actually, it's all about subconscious, yeah? That they can throw things in front of you that they don't know, and it's affecting your decision making, right? So, and at a young age, this can be very, very effective, okay? At a young age, and you're going through and you have your whole internet activity that is so specific, and it is targeting you. You don't know how it's built and it's affecting your brain, okay, and the way you think. So, and with that sort of thing, only older people, I think, you know, again, their brains aren't developed enough to know this thing and know how you're being targeted and how corporations are building a profile of you. And you know, people, even me, I'm not even sure how, and I'm still a victim to it. So there's that sense as well, right? Having that kind of life on social media, that profile on social media and the internet in general at a young age, you know, can be very, very, just be aware, right? Just be aware. And whoever's watching this, if you're a child, if you're a teenager, if you're an adult, if you are a parent, just be aware. So I'm not going to give you an age, but that's what I have to say about it. And it's a very hot topic at the moment. So make sure you read Ollie Camby's blog. It's right here on the page. And let's hear what you guys have to think. I'm Nat Black Heaven, Black Easy, Why So Social, coming soon. Peace out to you.
Take it easy.